Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles Sebastian, and welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show. We cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today we're going to have a show, and I'm going to definitely take my time with this show here. But before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. And if you want today's full show, be sure to check out the Dreamerspro podcast, pinned in the comment section. We're on Spotify and iTunes. Anyway, let's get into this topic here. As you guys know, Scottie Pippen has turned himself into an absolute nuisance over the last few years with some of the things that he's been saying about Michael Jordan. When The Last Dance docuseries came out in 2020, we were all excited to see it. It was a 10-part docuseries. And this docuseries was basically meant to chronicle the 1998 Chicago Bulls run to that last year. So basically it was talking about the key players in that story arc, and then taking it from various points in their careers and bringing it into the present day. And that present day in this case is 1998, when they were competing for their last NBA championship. So they were talking about various players, and all throughout the doc they were covering highs and lows of various players. They did it about Michael Jordan, who was the star of the doc. They did it about Dennis Rodman, and of course they did it about Scottie Pippen. And during one episode, I don't remember it, it was the episode where he refused to go back in the game because he was upset that Phil Jackson had dropped the play for him, and he refused. And then Michael Jordan said he believed that was selfish. Also, the thing about him electing to get a surgery, because he was upset with the contract that he signed, after the Chicago Bulls team owner and Michael Jordan advised him not to do it. So there was that, and Michael Jordan and these guys released it. Then the docuseries came out. The moment it came out, Scottie Pippen went on a campaign, a public campaign, to basically smear Michael Jordan's name all over the internet and all over the media. And during the first episode, or the first stop that he made was on the Dan Patrick Show, is really where he kicked things off. And it was in that show where he called Phil Jackson, his former head coach, a racist. And then on top of that, he said that Michael Jordan was basically a con artist who was conning fans by controlling the cameras. And he wasn't real, and what was going on wasn't really what you think was going on. So what we want to do is we want to play those original comments of what Scottie Pippen had to say to Dan Patrick on the Dan Patrick Show about Phil Jackson and then Michael Jordan. And then we're going to continue on with the show. Take a listen to Scottie here.
Help me understand the GQ article where you talked about the 1994 playoff game when you refused to go back in the game and Phil set up the play for Tony Kukoc.
Well, I mean, it's not much to be said if you go back and look at when Scottie Pippen entered the Bulls and when Tony Kukoc entered the Bulls and who deserved the last shot of the game.
No, I understand that, Scottie. I'm just going by what you said. You said you need to read between the fine lines, and then you go on to say it was a racial move to give him, Tony Kukoc, a rise. So,
well, I mean, if you knew that Scottie Pippen had been with the Bulls from 87, battled through the Pistons and every other team that we had to get to those 3 championships, wouldn't you give Scottie Pippen one opportunity to get a last-second shot without Michael Jordan? Like 1 year without Michael Jordan. Can I get one shot? Like, I'm doing all the dirty work.
But all of that I understand from the basketball standpoint. But when you say a racial move...
Well, why would Tony, who was a rookie, get the last-second shot and you put me out of bounds? That's what I mean, racial. Like, that was Scottie Pippen's team.
But
Scottie
Phil
Pippen
then
was on pace to be an MVP that year, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, why would you put him in a position not to be successful? Why wouldn't you put him in a position to succeed? Michael Jordan is not there. So who's next in line for you?
But have you talked to Phil about this? Because by saying a racial move, then you're calling Phil a racist.
I don't got a problem with that.
Do you think Phil was or is?
Oh, yeah. I mean, do you remember Phil Jackson left the Lakers, wrote a book on Kobe Bryant, and then came back and coached him? I mean, who would do that? You name someone in professional sports that would do that. You know, I think he tried to expose Kobe in a way that he shouldn't have. You're the head coach, and you're the guy that sits in the locker room and tells the players, this is a circle, and everything stays within the circle, because that's what team is about. But you as the head coach, open it up, and now you go out and you try to belittle, at that time, probably one of the greatest players in the game.
Well, it feels like he's disloyal. I don't know if that makes him a racist.
Well, that's your way of putting it out, and I have my way. I was in the locker room with him. I was in practices with him. You're looking for him afar.
Yeah, and look, that's why I wanted to have you on. But I go back, and Phil designed a play for Steve Kerr when Mike was there. And Mike didn't have a problem with that, did he?
I don't want to. You're not setting me up to answer the right question. What do you mean Phil set up a play for Steve Kerr? He didn't set that play for Steve Kerr. He set that play for Michael Jordan.
I thought in the huddle, Mike says, I'm going to throw you the ball. You'll be open at the foul line. And Phil had nothing to do with that?
And you don't want to get this show started because it'll take us a long time. Do you know all those cameras that's sitting in that huddle, who they was working for?
The NBA.
So you know who Michael was speaking to when he said that, right? That was planned. That was speaking to the camera. That wasn't speaking out of what we're going to have to do, what the play is going to be. That was speaking to the camera. Had John Stockton not came down, trust me. But that was building his own documentary because he knew he was controlling the cameras.
So you heard what Scottie Pippen had to say there. You heard what he had to say. If you were listening to that soundbite or that segment carefully, you will also hear in his voice that he was audibly upset. He was even getting annoyed with the way that Dan Patrick was asking him those questions. Let's go back into that audio for a second. I want to highlight a particular point he said. He said he thought it was disrespectful for head coach Phil Jackson to elect to go with Tony Kukoc, who he believed was a better player in that particular game scenario, over Scottie Pippen. And therefore, he refused to go back in the game, and he took that as absolute disrespect, right? But we never really got to understand it from Phil Jackson's side. Until yesterday, we produced the show. Centered on some, day for yesterday, we produced the show. Centered on some comments that Scottie Pippen made on ESPN a number of years ago when he was with Rachel Nichols, Tracy McGrady, and Paul Pierce. During this segment, they were talking about players that were good at closing out games. This same Scottie Pippen in that soundbite was saying that he never had a clutch gene. He was never a closer. Michael Jordan was always the closer, and he was robbed of his clutch gene. The Scottie Pippen that got upset with Phil Jackson for electing to go with a player that he felt was in a better position to win the game. So what we want to do is want to quickly play what Scottie Pippen had to say about his own abilities to close late games, and then we're going to continue on. Take a listen to Scottie Pippen here.
Rachel, I'm not afraid to say that I don't have clutch genes. I played with a guy that took all the clutch genes out of me. So,
hey, you can't even argue with him on that, man.
Hey, it's all fair to say for me that I had the best clutch player ever.
Yes.
I'm all good with that.
I mean, when you are playing with a guy like that, does it change your mentality in terms of, as these guys say, they say, oh, I want the ball in that moment. When you spend so much of your career playing with Michael Jordan, do you think, okay, in that moment, I know what I'm doing. I'm passing.
Yes. You know what you're doing.
But listen.
And you know what? It was a relationship that me and Michael had. So it was the relationship built that I knew where I wanted the ball at the end of the game.
He wasn't-
I knew who wanted the ball
Listen,
at the end of the game.
I was a Pip fan. I watched Pip growing up. He wasn't afraid.
No.
He had the clutch gene, and he really wanted it. What was that game in New York when they went to coach?
Why you had to bring that up? You know, you were real low with that thing, man.
Pip was pissed off that he didn't get that last shot.
That's what I said. Somebody took my clutch jeans out of me.
I had to bring that up, Pip. But no, Pip had the clutch gene. I mean, he played with the greatest clutch player of all time.
And by the way, Michael depended on you to do certain things. And there were
Absolutely.
parts of Michael's game that he ceded to you on that court. As you said, it was a partnership.
It was, and you would never see a game where Michael would be standing watching somebody take the last shot. That would just kill him.
So you heard what Scottie Pippen had to say. You heard that was him. That wasn't me. That was him. So yesterday I was going through the internet and I came across a Vlad TV interview where he sat down with NBA top 75 player Dominique Wilkins. And in this interview, they were talking about the modern NBA versus the previous NBA and a bunch of things. But then in one particular clip, they were talking about the fallout between Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. And Vlad basically asked Dominique, what are your thoughts about The Last Dance? And what do you think about the way that Scottie Pippen has been going at Michael Jordan? So what we want to do is we want to play what an NBA legend, a top 75 guy, had to say about the vicious attacks and jealousy that Scottie Pippen has had towards Michael Jordan. Take a listen to Dominique Wilkins here.
What'd you think of The Last Dance?
I never watched it
You never watched it.
because we lived it. I knew all.
Okay.
Yeah, we lived it. So, we competed. So it was nothing that surprised me about The Last Dance and when people were talking about it. So, we knew what Michael was. We knew what the Bulls was. They knew everybody knew who each other was. So we saw it firsthand. So we didn't, seeing it on TV didn't change our vision of what we thought.
I mean, when you look at the aftermath of that series, Scottie Pippen has been going at Jordan, saying that he didn't win any rings until Scottie showed up and everything else like that. And you actually defended Jordan with these comments. I mean, when you see Scottie saying stuff like that, what do you think? As someone who played against both of them.
When I hear him saying, I'm saying to myself, what's really going on with Scottie? Because anybody know basketball is like, you don't win those rings without Jordan. Yeah, does Jordan win 6 rings without Scottie? Probably not. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, you don't even get in that position without MJ, period. I mean, anybody who knows the game would look like, and anybody who played against Mike, how fierce of a competitor he was. Now, they had great pieces to that Chicago team. They had a great Scottie Pippen. They had Horace Grant. You had Kukoc. You had Kerr and Paxson. You had a great nucleus on that team. So all those pieces. Rodman. And everybody accepted their role. Mm-hmm. That was the difference. But Scottie is dealing with something else, man. I don't know what it is. I wish I could tell you.
I mean, the Lars to Pippen, Marcus Jordan thing probably doesn't help.
Sometimes everybody want to be the king, and everybody can't, Like I said, whatever issue that he got going, them two got going, I mean, it really makes no sense. You're talking about 20, 30 years removed. Come on. You got to let go of that stuff, man. Because what are you going to accomplish out of it, really? What do you get out of it?
I mean, John Sally, one of the things that he always says on my show that gets people upset, as someone who actually played on the Bulls, he said that Scottie Pippen was the most skilled player he's ever played with, not Jordan.
Scottie Pippen is probably the most skilled player I've ever played with.
Really?
Yeah. Skilled. He plays point guard, shooting guard, small forward, big forward, and center. He can guard anybody on the court. He's Dennis Rodman. Can dribble the ball, right-handed, left-handed. The fundamentals are built into his swag.
When you hear him say that, what do you think?
Hey, Scottie was skilled. There's no question about that. Nobody can take Scottie's ability away from him. My only problem is the back. I mean, not even the back and forth, but the kind of the negative undertone that this whole thing has taken. For what? What is Scottie? What are you trying to hoping to get out of this? And but when you talk from a skill level, I don't know if too many people more skilled than Mike.
So you heard what he had to say. You heard what he had to say. First thing he said was, let's not even get it twisted. Yeah, I know MJ needed you to win those championships. Yeah, I know that. But let's not get it twisted. You needed MJ more. We've even done polls about this. We recently put up a poll of where over 33,000 people voted on the poll. And the question was simply this: which of these three people do you think had the biggest role in the success that the Chicago Bulls had during their championship years? We had Phil Jackson, we had Michael Jordan, we had Scottie Pippen. Over 85% of the voters voted for Michael Jordan. Scottie Pippen was damn near tied with Phil Jackson for second or third place. Everyone knows this, including Scottie Pippen, including him. But this is what jealousy does. This is what happens when you're not content with what you have and you're busy looking at what somebody else has. Jordan was going to be the star. Why you focus on MJ's star when you can focus on your own? What's all the need for the hate? Do you know how many times Scottie Pippen is flip-flopped on who's better between Michael Jordan and LeBron? Do you know how many times? In one hand, he'll say LeBron is the better player than Michael Jordan. In the next hand, he'll say Michael Jordan is the more superior player and they should never be compared. I don't understand what this comparison. Which one is it? And if you go back and listen to some of the things that Scottie Pippen had been saying about Michael Jordan ever since the Last Dance docuseries, it turns out Scottie was talking about things that pertain to when they were teammates, which raises the question, what do you really think about MJ over these last 20 years? If you're referring to how you felt about him by calling him a selfish player, he took all the credit. If this is what you felt about him while you guys were teammates, why everywhere when I saw you guys, y'all all buddy and hugging it up and blowing kisses? Because whenever I saw you with MJ, it was all smiles, which makes me believe that Jordan never knew what Scottie truly felt about him. And the big bad evil Michael Jordan, when Scottie Pippen was being inducted into the Hall of Fame, guess who was standing right next to him? Michael Jordan. This evil, selfish teammate who has always said, there is no way in hell I win those 6 championships without Scottie Pippen. You go pull up the audio where Scottie Pippen says, there's no way in hell I win those 6 championships without Michael Jordan as of late. The guy's everywhere. And that's the reason why Dominique Wilkins seems to be confounded by what is going on. He's like, what are you really trying to accomplish here? Well, I can answer you for you. He was trying to sell a book. He was trying to sell a book, which I believe he successfully did. And it's because of these ridiculous Scottie Pippen attacks that you have people now coming out saying, oh, if it wasn't for Scottie, MJ wouldn't have won nothing, as if they're going to bring a player that won anything by themselves. It's a joke, and Scottie Pippen has been the one leading this madness with the comments that he's been making about MJ. But I'm glad that a top 75 guy is saying it. Like, Scottie, cut it out. Enough of the hate. Enough of the jealousy. The guy did nothing to you. All he did was praise you every single opportunity he got in public. And all you've been doing over the last few years is basically attacking him every single chance you get. And the irony in all of it is we have yet to hear a single mumbling word from MJ. It's a disgrace. These are my thoughts. Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section, and we catch you on the next show. Peace.